Hello, in this video I'm going to be doing a list of my 15 favourite debut albums. Now, these are just my personal favourites, so it's not necessarily the best debut albums of all time, they're just my favourites, what I like. Feel free to disagree, but just keep it respectful, okay? And this is in no particular order, this is not like a top 15. It's in no particular order, it's just in random order. So some of these albums I don't actually own. So I've got 9 CDs here, and then the ones that I don't have, I've got pictures of them on the album covers on my phone, which I will show you. So the first one here is the Beatles, Please Please Me. And I love the Beatles. I did a video of my ranking where I ranked all the Beatles studio albums. And you know me, I love all the Beatles albums. Like they never did a bad album in my opinion. They not ever. I think all of their albums are just brilliant. They never did a bad song either. Like, just look at that track list. I Saw Her Standing There, Misery, Please Please Me, Love Me Do, P.S. I Love You, Baby It's You, Twist and Shout, There's a Place. I mean, every one of them. Brilliant debut album. This was recorded in just one day. Like, usually it would take like months to record an album, but this was recorded in just one day. It's remarkable, don't you think? So the next one I'm showing here is England's newest hitmakers, the Rolling Stones. Well, this was the American title. In the UK, it's just called the Rolling Stones. But England's newest hitmakers is the American title, because this is the American edition. The track listing's slightly different, because as you can see, Not Fade Away is on here, which it wasn't on the original UK version of the album. And also, but it's missing Mona, which was on the UK version, but in America, Mona was included on Rolling Stones Now. So yeah, I have that song on that album. But yeah, I actually do like it. I think it is better to have Not Fade Away on here. It makes it a much more compelling listen, to be honest. It's just, because it is the opening track on the album. And the UK version's good as well. I mean, it is the same album. It's just the only difference. It's by a couple of different songs. That's all. But apart from that, it's very similar. It is the same album. Like, literally every song on here is good. Not Fade Away, Route 66, Just Want to Make Love to You. I mean, there's a lot of covers on here, but as I've said before, I've got no problem with cover songs, considering I don't know most of the original versions of these anyway. I might know some of them. I know Not Fade Away was a Buddy Holly song. I do like Buddy Holly. But yeah, I think if they're good, if they're enjoyable, if they're catchy, then I'm not one of those people that's really bothered about sophistication or or that nonsense. Like, if it's good music, if it's enjoyable, then who cares, Tell Me, I think that's the only original song on here. Actually, no, it's not. Little by Little is also an original. And Now I've Got a Witness, which is an instrumental. That's an original by Jagger and Richards. Walking the Dog, You Can Make It If You Try. It's just a fantastic album. I think the Rolling Stones get better with their sound. Like, on later albums, they get better, but that is a great debut album. Very overlooked, in my opinion. Next one I've got here is Queen, their self-titled debut album. Love Queen. Probably my top 3 favourite bands of all time. Probably one of the first bands I really got into. And this is a solid debut. Keep Yourself Alive, fantastic opening track. I love the guitar riff on that. Doing Alright, Great King Rat, My Fairy King, Liar. You've got Seven Seas of Rye on here, but that closes the album up, but it's not the version that we all know. It's an instrumental, sort of like an instrumental teaser, if you will, because the version that we all know of Seven Seas of Rye, the one that became a hit single, that's on the second album, Queen 2. But yeah, it's a good debut, and I love Queen. So yeah, there's not really anything negative to say about these, to be honest. They're just brilliant. Next is The Who, My Generation, 1965. Very good debut. I ranked all the Who albums earlier on today, actually, and so yeah, I pretty much already talked about this one, so I don't really need to say much more about it. But yeah, there's a lot of James Brown covers on here, but they're good covers. And of course, you've got My Generation on here, Kids Are Alright, Legal Matter, The Ox, Circles, Much Too Much, Out in the Street, I Don't Mind, Please, 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 I Can't Explain, Bald-Headed Woman. It's a brilliant album. Yeah, they get better on later albums, but it's still a great album. So that's The Who. That's number 4. As I'm saying, it's no particular order. This is just the random order that the CDs were piled in. Number 5 is Fresh Cream. It's the first album by Cream, of course. Probably, I think, the first supergroup. You know, Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, Jack Bruce. And yeah, look at the track listing on there. I Feel Free. This is actually, I Feel Free was originally just on the American version of this album. And the UK version had Spoonful, but the song Spoonful wasn't on the American release. But this version has both of those songs on it, so this is like it's kind of like this combines the track listings between both editions. So yeah, this is probably the best one to get. I feel that they could have included Wrapping Paper as well, which was their first single, which came out just before this. It came out just before I Feel Free. I feel they could have included that on here. I mean, it wasn't on the original album, but I think for the CD release they could have included that as well. But that's a nitpick, really. I mean, I Feel Free is a fantastic opening track anyway. Got NSU, Sleepy Time Time, Dreaming, Sweet Wine, Spoonful, Cat Squirrel, 4 Until Late, Rolling and Tumbling, I'm So Glad, and then you got Toad, which is a long drum solo. Like, each and every track on here is brilliant. This is a brilliant debut. It's quite heavy, you know, it's kind of ahead of its time. There's some pretty like heavy guitar riffs on here by Eric Clapton. Yeah, this was even before Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix arrived 1 year later after this with his first album, but yeah. So yeah, this was like probably one of the first heavy albums. So that's 5. So number 6 is. Some people may not agree with this. A lot of people don't see these guys as a real band, but they became a real band. They weren't a real band to begin with. They were a fictional band in a TV show. You know, but they started writing their own music, releasing their own albums, and of course I'm talking about the Monkees. Yeah, this is their debut album. This came out just when the TV series began. You know, I know the Monkees don't play on this. I mean, they do sing. You know, all the songs on here are sang by the Monkees. They do sing the vocals. But the instruments on here, like the guitars, the drums, and keyboards and stuff like that, the Monkees don't play those instruments. They're played by session musicians, because they were just a fictional band to begin with, made for a TV show. And yeah, they weren't allowed to play their own instruments, and they weren't allowed to sing the songs that they'd written themselves. So a lot of the songs on here are written for them by other artists. But they're great. The Monkees had talent. This proves it, I think, because on their third album, Headquarters, that's the first album where they played all the instruments. They played all the instruments themselves and wrote all the songs. So yeah, that was their way of proving that they could do it. They had talent, and But this is a strong debut. You got the Monkees theme on here. Saturday's Child, I Want to Be Free. It's a beautiful song. It's a very beautiful acoustic. Lovely vocals by Davy Jones. And yeah, we've only got one Monkee left now, and of course that's Mickey Dolenz. Fortunately, Michael Nesmith passed away a couple of months ago. Yeah, so yeah, that hit me really hard, that did, because I love the Monkees. Tomorrow's Going to Be Another Day, Papa Jean's Blues, which is a Michael Nesmith vocal. Take a Giant Step, Last Train to Clarksville. That's probably how I got into the Monkees. That was my favourite song. Doesn't Seem to Be My Day, Let's Dance On, I'll Be True to You, Sweet Young Thing, Gonna Buy Me a Dog. It's a silly song, but it's fun. Yeah, it's a really strong debut album. Even though the Monkees don't actually play the instruments on here, and none of the songs on here are written by them, but it's an enjoyable debut album, and I love it. I've not really got anything bad to say about it. It's a brilliant album. And then next is Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? I had to put this on there. It's just a brilliant debut. No. I couldn't do a top 15 debut albums list without putting this on here. I couldn't. So many wonderful songs on it. It's just brilliant. You've got Foxy Lady, Manic Depression, Red House, Can You See Me, Love or Confusion, Fire, title track. Probably, I think, no, it's not the first use of backwards guitar, because the Beatles did it on Revolver, which came out the year before this. So yeah, it's not the first use of backwards guitar. And yeah, this is like a bonus track edition. It's like an expanded track list. This is the UK. Well, this is the UK cover. This is what the album cover looked like when it was released in the UK. But of course, the US version was more. The artwork was more psychedelic. It looked somewhat like this, not exactly like this, but somewhat like that. With the purple writing. And yeah, the American version included the hit singles like Purple Haze and Hey Joe, Wind Cries Mary, whereas the UK version didn't, because although Hendrix was American, the other two members, Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding, were British, so it was technically a British band. And a lot of British bands back in the 60s, they didn't include singles on their albums. So yeah, it's the UK cover, and yes, this is the 17 track edition, because the original UK version had 11 tracks, and so did the US version. So in the UK it had Red House, Can You See Me, and Remember. Those three songs were omitted from the US version to include the three singles. But then, of course, when they released it on CD, they released the 17 track edition. So this has all the songs from the UK release, plus the three singles that I just mentioned: Purple Haze, Hey Joe, Wind Cries Mary, and also includes the B-sides to those three songs, which were Stone Free, 51st Anniversary, and Highway Child. So yeah, I think this is the best version of the album, the one with the 17 tracks, which is now considered the definitive version of the album. So yeah, it's kind of resolved, if you're undecided of which version to get because the track listing's different. Like if you're undecided whether to get the UK or US release. Yeah, luckily you don't have to decide with this because you got this version with the 17 songs on it. This has all the songs on it. So yeah, this is like the full, what's considered the full version. So yeah, that's the best way to hear this album, with the 17 tracks, not the 11 track version. Next on my list is the Velvet Underground and Nico. Now I don't really know too much about the Velvet Underground. This is the only album of theirs that I've actually heard. I've heard some of their like hits from their other albums. Like I know Sweet Jane, but I've not actually listened to any of their other albums in their entirety. This is the only one of theirs that I've heard all the way through, and it is brilliant. I do want to hear the others. They only had 5 studio albums, I think. They weren't around for very long. But yeah. And of course, the artwork on that was by Andy Warhol. It's got his name at the bottom there. And yeah, just look at that track list. Sunday Morning. These Velvet Underground, they were ahead of their time. Lou Reed, I love Lou Reed's vocals on Sunday Morning. It's brilliant. So I've never really been all that into his solo career, but I do love the Velvet Underground though. Venus in Furs, Waiting for the Man, obviously a song about drugs. Apparently it's about drugs. All Tomorrow's Parties, Heroin, obviously about drugs. There She Goes Again. This is a great album. Absolutely remarkable. I mean, it was 1967. That was ahead of its time. And so was Hendrix as well. Are You Experienced? I mean, that was 1967. It's heavy. Like people other guitarists felt intimidated by Hendrix, because of how heavy he was. Next one, I decided to include David Bowie's debut album. It's not David Bowie's best album. I mean, it's kind of silly, to be honest, because I am a huge Bowie fan. I love his music, but his music gets better after this. But yes, this was 1967. But yeah, Bowie was never pleased with this album. I think he was a bit embarrassed by it, which is why the second album, which he released in 1969, the one that has Space Oddity on it, that's the one that he regards as his debut. But this in fact was his actual debut album. But I do like this. I mean, it's very British sounding. It kind of does remind me of early Pink Floyd, Syd Barrett, which we'll get to quite soon. Spoiler alert. Uncle Arthur's a pretty fun song. Rubber Band, Love You Till Tuesday, Silly Boy Blue, Please Mr. Gravedigger. It's a weird song, even for its time, 67. It's pretty enjoyable. It's not an album that I put on if I want to listen to David Bowie. I normally go for like Ziggy Stardust or Station to Station or Hunky Dory, or ones like that. But it's still a fun album. Just take it as it is. Just take it as a fun, silly, innocent, enjoyable album. That's it for the CDs. The rest of the albums I'm gonna show I don't actually own. So the one I've got here, this is Picturesque Matchstickable Messages from the Status Quo. So this is Status Quo's first album from 1968. And yeah, it's very good. I mean, I like Status Quo, but I'm mostly familiar with the hits, the hits from the 70s, like Rocking All Over the World, Paper Plane, Caroline. But, as much as I like the 70s stuff, I actually prefer their 60s material, their early stuff. gets overlooked. I mean, on this album you've got Pictures of Matchstick Men, which, you know, it's a well-known song. You know, they sounded completely different to begin with. Like, they didn't sound like the Status Quo. They weren't exactly the band that they would become in the 70s. Yeah, they started off more psychedelic, but then in the early 70s, they moved away from psychedelic rock and then sort of went to blues rock and then to like heavy glam rock and then boogie rock in the 80s, you know. But no, I prefer the early stuff. This is a really good debut album. I love Pictures of Matchstick Men. Got Technicolor Dreams on here. Ice in the Sun. I mean, it's just brilliant. It's very psychedelic. You know, this is what I think of when I think of Status Quo. Most people think of rocking all over the world. I think of this. Very overlooked. I recommend checking this out if you haven't heard it. It's brilliant. Next on my list is No Answer by the Electric Light Orchestra. Well, let me... there you go. This was ELO's first album, and yeah, I mean, it's a really good debut album. The overture song on here is good, Mr. Radio, but it's not quite as great as what would come later. You know, this is the album that had Roy Wood. So, you know, Roy Wood was still in the band at this point. But yeah, of course, he left to form Wizard. But yeah, it's a good debut. It's not my favourite ELO album, but it is. I decided to put it in my list of favourite debuts. Yeah, there's not much to it, but you know, because they got better with their sound. But yeah, it's ELO. Then next is the Kinks' debut album. Hold on, let me... So yeah, it's just called Kinks, and it's 1964. And yeah, it's got a few Chuck Berry covers on it, but very good. You Really Got Me on here, which is the big hit. It's got I think yeah, Stop Your Sobbing is on here. Beautiful Delilah, So Mystifying. Got Love If You Want It. It's a really good debut. I mean, I love the Kinks, especially in the 60s and early 70s. But yeah, a very solid debut. It's similar to what the Beatles and the Stones were doing, you know. A lot of the early albums had a lot of covers on them, but it doesn't bother me, to be honest. And next is the Doors debut album. Yeah, so I don't actually own this on CD yet. But I'm still collecting the Doors. And yeah, just a fantastic debut. I mean, you've got Light My Fire on here, Break On Through, Soul Kitchen, 20th Century Fox, The End, brilliant closing track. Alabama Song. Yeah, this is a superb debut album. You've got to hear it. It's probably my favourite Doors album as well. So yeah, that's the Doors, and then the next is Pink Floyd's Piper at the Gates of Dawn. So this is Pink Floyd's first album, and this of course is Syd Barrett. So of course David Gilmour's not on this album, but I think it's very different to what Pink Floyd would go on to do in the 70s. You know, because in the 70s they became prog rock, but at this point they weren't a prog rock band. They were, you know, British psychedelic pop group. You know, there's a lot of really like funny songs on here. Like Bike is brilliant. Lucifer Sam, Gnome. There's just so many good ones. It's just, I do wish that they'd included CMLE Play on here. That had already been released as a single though. I think the American version of the album had that CMLE Play on there, but yeah, I do wish that. Yeah, it'd be nice if they could release a CD edition that has that. That has like all the songs from both versions. But yeah, I really liked Syd Barrett. A lot of people prefer Dave Gilmour, but of course Syd Barrett was the founding member, and you know he came up with the band name as well. So you know, without Syd Barrett, there would have been no Pink Floyd. So yeah, I really love Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And then last but not least is Led Zeppelin's first album. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually own any Led Zeppelin CDs yet. I'm looking to get all their albums. They only had 8 studio albums. But yeah, this is their first album, and you know, it's just brilliant. Well, the thing with Led Zeppelin, I mean, they never did a bad. All their albums are brilliant, in my opinion. You know, you've got Good Times, Bad Times on here, Communication Breakdown, I Can't Quit You, Baby, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Your Time Is Gonna Come. You know, just brilliant. You've got How Many More Times. I mean, it's just from start to finish. Can't go wrong with Led Zeppelin. Such a fantastic band. So yeah, so that's my 15 favourite debut albums of all time. And, you know, as I said before, you know, feel free to disagree, but keep it respectful. And let me know your 15 favourite debut albums, you know. I'm always interested to look at other people's opinions, you know. So I hope you enjoyed that. And give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you later.